Okay, so welcome to the pre-regional final for Bridgeport pre-game press conference. At this time, we're going to welcome an opening statement from the head coach, Kelly Graves, and then immediately following will be questions and answers with the student athletes. So, Coach, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Yesterday was a great day in the University of Oregon sports history. Not only this team moving on to our first Elite Eight, but our men last night going to their first Final Four since 1939. I think a couple of their players commented to us that we helped inspire them, and now hopefully we can use the inspiration that they have given us to carry us tomorrow. But my coach, he used to always say when I was in school, he said, you know, if what you did yesterday looks good to you today, then you haven't done much today. So we're excited to move on. Our team, you know, earned this right to be able to have a chance to play UConn. Really proud of our effort for the entire tournament, and certainly yesterday. I think this group has shown a real resilience, and we look forward to tomorrow.
Well, thank you, Coach. So to his left, we have the five student athletes, Maite Cazorla, Lexi Bando, Sabrina Ionescu, Ruthie Hebert, and Mallory McGuire. So at this time, I'd like to open up questions to the media, and if you could, again, state your affiliation as well as your name and the player or student athlete that you want to direct the question to. We'll start down in front with Doug.
Doug Feinberg, DAP. Sabrina, I'm guessing you guys watched the game last night on the men's game. What was it like? Where'd you guys watch it? I mean, just seeing the men's program get to their first Final Four in 75 years. Coach said it gives you guys a little inspiration, but what does it actually mean to know those guys and know what they're doing right now?
Yeah. Well, we watched it, some of us together, some of us individually. I mean, it was pretty late, so we laid in bed and watched it. But it's awesome to see what they're accomplishing. They work hard day in and day out. I mean, we're with them all the time in the training room, and it's just really, really awesome to see. You know, Dana's doing a great job with them. And, you know, they work hard just like we work hard, and they're definitely inspiring us to try and work just as hard as they are and accomplish what they are.
In the back.
This is Jonathan Hawthorne with the Emerald in Eugene. For Maite, I mean, you guys are playing some of your best defense of the year. What's your kind of defensive mentality this time of year? Has it changed at all since January?
Not really. We just have to make them hit shots, difficult shots. That's all we can do. I mean, if they make it, then that's good for them, but we just have to make them difficult.
Ryan Thorburn with the Register Guard. For any player who wants to answer, your entire lives, UConn women's basketball has been, you know, a powerhouse. I'm sure you all grew up probably watching a lot of their games. What's it like for you guys to play this team? Is it special, or do you try and view it as just another step in what you're trying to accomplish?
For the transcribers, let's start with Lexi.
Yeah, what an exciting opportunity. You know, for any athlete or competitor, this is what you live for. You want to play at the biggest stage against the best team, and, you know, tomorrow can't come soon enough.
Sab, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, we're excited for this opportunity, especially as a young group. I think it's going to test us in many ways, and I think we're just excited to see where we stand and, you know, get a shot at, you know, playing against the #1 team in the country.
Again, yep.
Just a follow-up to that, in your view, besides the fact that they have great players, what makes them so successful and dominant year in and year out?
Are you asking me? Yes. Sorry. Well, their culture, you know, they recruit great kids and kids that want to compete and kids that want to win. They don't really have any knuckleheads on their team.
Sounds like you.
So, I mean, they have great culture, great kids, and, you know, Gino's one of a kind. So I think that definitely, you know, helps them in achieving what they've achieved this far and what they're going to achieve in the future.
And for the transcribers, again, that was Sabrina. Next question. Down in front here. Pat.
Pat Eaton-Robb from the AP. Ruthie and Mallory, can you just talk about Naphisha Collier, what kind of a challenge she presents for you guys, and what is it that you see in her that makes her such a great player inside, outside, and how are you going to combat that?
We'll start with Ruthie.
Yeah, she's a great player. I think we're blessed to be able to play against great post players, outside players all year long. So I think we're just going to focus on making shots difficult and playing great defense.
Going off what Ruthie said, she is kind of an all-around player, so she can play outside and inside. But being able to, having the height advantage is going to be really helpful for us tomorrow. But being able to make her hit those shots from the high post is going to be probably key tomorrow.
Jim over here.
Jim Fuller, New Haven Register. For Mallory, when Gabby Williams committed to UConn, her dad suggested to Gino that they recruit another kid from that part of the country, happens to be sitting up on that stage. Just run me through your experience with Gabby and the Williams family, and any good stories you may have from your time maybe playing against them or meeting them.
I played against Gabby my freshman and sophomore year in high school, and every year we did play them. It was an honor because it's Gabby, and she was the best. She's one of the most decorated players to come out of Northern Nevada. And she's an awesome basketball player. She's just a competitor, and their family is a great family. We were friends off the court, too, as well. But just being able to see her success is amazing, and from such a small town to be on this big of a stage is amazing for her.
All right, Doug.
Sabrina, hearing your answer before reminded me of your coach. I know you're only a freshman, but I've known Kelly for a couple of years, and his laid-back attitude, the exciting opportunity, and the knucklehead comment, since I know he loves that word also. It's rare. I mean, usually you hear juniors and seniors spouting coach talk or the way coaches go, but you guys are just freshmen. I mean, just talk about the relationship you have in 1 year with the big guy sitting on the end of the stage there.
Good-looking big guy.
Well, I know us freshmen have definitely gotten to know him well during our recruiting process. I mean, he was always there. I don't think he maybe has missed 1 or 2 of my AU games all my whole junior year. And, I think same with all of us. He was always there at all of our games. And we just grew, a really good relationship with him off the court, not necessarily on the court. And I definitely think that helps us as people and, outside of the basketball court. But I don't know, that comment, he definitely likes the whole knucklehead saying. I've heard it a few times. But yeah.
Well, it's better than what my coach used to call me. We can't say it out here.
In the back.
Lexi, as a shooter, what kind of defensive challenges or what kind of challenges does UConn pose on defense to someone who likes to shoot the 3 ball?
Yeah, they're a great defensive team, so it's going to be a big test for us, for everyone. And, I have great guards that, push the ball and find me in transition. And, I'm not too worried. And then, you have our post that draw so much attention. So, yeah.
Down in front here.
Hi. Sabrina, I was wondering, you guys talked the other day about you went to Spain for a preseason trip, and that helped you guys all get to know each other better. Can you just, talk about that trip and how you guys got to know each other better and how it brought the freshmen together?
Yeah, well, how long we go? 12 days?
Yeah.
We were there for 12 days, and I mean, just being, out of the country for 12 days with a group of girls that, you're just starting to get to know already builds a great relationship. Things are obviously different, outside of America. We couldn't walk places alone. We had to stay as a group in an unfamiliar territory. So I think just all being together, we visited museums and churches and cathedrals, and I think just being able to be together for 12 days in a foreign country was something that I think all of us definitely look up to, and we this happens once every 4 years. So I think we were really excited that it happened this year with so many new people, and we all got to know each other really well.
Time for 1 or 2 more questions. Down in front here.
Roger Cleveland from the Waterbury Republican American newspaper. Mallory, can you just talk about playing against Gabby and her athleticism and how difficult it is to play somebody like that who can be so quick but has the ability to play against a taller kid?
Well, I mean, the last time I played her was my sophomore year, but being able to watch her, she's so versatile, and it's just amazing because she can play down low, but she also has the outside game, being able to drive from the high post and things like that. But she's also an amazing rebounder. She can jump out of the gym. She's just an overall amazing athlete.
Any more? Yep. Last one over here.
Lexi, it seems like you haven't been at Oregon that long, but you're kind of the elder statesman already. When you heard about this recruiting class coming to Oregon, I'm sure you even hosted some of them and knew them a little bit. When did you realize that the future could be now this year when they were all true freshmen instead of a couple of years from now?
Well, first off, I was so excited for this class to come in. There was so much hype around them, and, the hype was real. Incredible players, incredible people off the court, and it's just a blessing to be able to play with them. And, I don't think people thought we were going to get to this stage this early. But, these freshmen have led us here, and it's been an incredible journey.
All right. Well, thank you very much to the student athletes. We'll stay here with Coach for another 15 minutes, so you guys are all set.
Yes, good. Yeah, go and get taped. Nice job. You guys.
And just as a reminder, the Oregon locker room will remain open for another 15 minutes or so. All right, so we'll open up now in just a moment for coaches for Coach. And we'll start first and then Doug. Yep.
Hi, Kelly. I'm Jerry Longman with the New York Times. You would be the first double-digit seed to make the women's Final Four. I realize, you've got to play the game first. But if you do that, is that a necessary step in the evolution of women's college basketball? And then my second question would be about the Pac-12 would be, you've had Cheryl Miller's era, you had Stanford winning championships. But now it looks like the Pac-12 is doing what the SEC did years ago, where they're realizing en masse that, we can really do well in women's basketball. We've got tons of resources and beautiful campuses, and so why don't we make a push? Is that what's going on, or is it just individual?
Yeah, well, there was a lot in that question. The first part, in terms of the Final Four, we're playing this for us. I think that's what we're looking forward to. I don't know if that's going to make a statement in a bigger picture of things, but it wasn't necessarily a goal of ours when we set out on this season's journey, but it's in front of us now, so it's obviously something we're thinking about. The Pac-12 for many years, and I watched it from a short distance when I was at Gonzaga, was Stanford and then everybody else, several teams pretty good and some not so good. And I think what's happened, everybody's just gotten better. I mean, there are no gimmies anymore. 1 through 12, a lot of programs are stepping up with two, Oregon State and Washington in last year's Final Four. Just shows how the conference has evolved. I think all recruits should look to come west. It's beautiful out there. We're laid back, like Doug likes to say about some of our coaches. And it's a wonderful conference. Great coaches, great players, awesome places to visit when you're on the road. I just think it's a conference that will continue to get better and better. I truly do.
Doug?
Kelly, I remember you and I chatted when you first took this job. You thought, you know what, if they put some resources here, we could be a really, really good basketball team. Did you think 3 years ago that you'd be this quickly getting to a chance to get to the Final Four with a group, and especially with the group you brought in this past year, that it'd be this quick a turnaround for that program?
Yeah, well, I'm a typical coach. I don't look that far ahead. I like to look the next day. But, maybe not in our third year, but we certainly expect it to be a good program. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And the way we've recruited and my staff, they deserve so much credit. They've been phenomenal. Great recruiters, great teachers, and great people. And I think that's kind of very, very much helped us get to this spot today. But, that's the honest truth is that's why I left Gonzaga. I had a great thing going there. We could have always been competitive, won championships, been a threat to get to the second weekend of the tournament. But I think at Oregon, we have the resources, the brand, the administration, the support. Everything that we have there will, help enable us to get to, the lofty goals. You look at the university athletic department, and we're pretty competitive in every single sport that we offer, and that's pretty neat. Our kids get to rub shoulders with some of the nation's elite athletes and world's elite athletes, and that's special. And so, you know, I saw that, and I have Oregon ties. My family has Oregon ties, and I just thought it was a no-brainer to me. And I'm really excited to put a timeline on it. You know, coaches can't do that. That's tough. That's tough to think that we can get to this spot and have a chance to get to a Final Four in our third year with so many young kids. But it's here now, so we're going to seize upon the opportunity.
Mel Greenberg. Today you got more resources around that existed in different ways before. Like example, I'd say that was not long ago that those of us over here in the Pac-12 with scores in the paper in the morning when they ran scores. Now you got the Pac-12 network, which was one of the, I forget if Big Ten was before then, but I know they were around the same time, you know, and everybody here can just get on their computers. How much of a help is that to you in your recruiting?
Oh, I think the Pac-12 network is huge. Now, Mel, I know we play those 8 o'clock games sometimes. I know you're in bed already, big guy, but so I don't know how many people on the East Coast are watching, but I think it's been huge. It's been critical. I think it's allowed those players on the West Coast the opportunity to stay home. You know, they don't have to go to the East Coast or the South to get the attention nationally that they had before. And so it's just opened up a lot more doors, and I think you are seeing players on the West Coast stay on the West Coast to play. So, yeah, I think it's great. I've always felt that getting on TV is one of the most important things you can do for a program, and certainly it's helped our conference.
Kelly, what kind of a performance will it take for you guys or anyone to beat UConn this year?
Well, it's going to take our absolute best. There's no doubt about it, and we've got to play for 40 minutes. That, you know, watching them play and what Coach REM has done is incredible. It truly is, and I think they've set a standard that is good for our sport. You know, I hear people say all the time, oh, their dominance isn't good for the sport. Really, I think it's great for the sport. It makes us all accountable. We need to get better. We've got to improve our game, and they're at the same time tough to watch because, you know, now we got to play them. But they are a lot of fun to watch. They play the game the right way. They share the ball. They play hard. They play very smart. They never beat themselves. They play together. And then what they do is they play for 40 minutes. And if you let down even for a minute, it can spur a 10-0 run and you're buried. And that's what they do. And people can play with them, you know, for a time, but can they play with them for 40 minutes? And that's the challenge we had to have ahead of us. You know, we've got to play a 40-minute game. Things are going to go wrong. We've got to lift our heads up and fight through it and continue to fight. And this team has shown that kind of resilience. So I'm not going to sit here and just say we're happy to be here. We are happy to be here. But I have a really good basketball team. And I have a basketball team who believes in themselves and in each other. And so we're excited for the opportunity.
We'll stay in the back, yep.
Kelly, Gino Auriemma was one of a couple coaches that was quoted in your press release when you were hired at Oregon, just having a lot of nice things to say about you. How close are you with Gino, and you know how has that relationship developed throughout the years?
You know, obviously I admire him a lot. We've had a chance to, you know, spend a little bit of time together. You know, we're not calling each other every week to check up. But we have a friendly relationship, and I think there's mutual admiration. I really appreciated the things he said when I was first hired at Oregon. You know, he has a close Nike relationship, just like we do at the university. But you know, and the things he said yesterday, I mean, that means a lot to me, and I share the same admiration of him. I think he's, you know, listen, I'm going to go out and say I think he's the best coach in basketball. You know, male, female, men's basketball, women's basketball. He's just absolutely phenomenal what he does and how he motivates and coaches. And it's going to be an honor to play tomorrow. And that being said, I hope I kick his butt. But I'm really looking forward to testing ourselves against the very best.
All right, Doug, and then Mel.
Kelly, to follow up on that a little bit, I don't know have you played UConn before at any point in your career, or Gonzaga or Oregon? And also, a lot of teams, when they play them for the first time, there's that mystique, the see the jersey, see the UConn, and you're already down 10-0. From the attitude I saw up there, I mean, you said all on this team, house money, either loosey-goosey, whatever it is, that they don't really seem to care about who they're playing. They just play basketball. Does that help you guys, that there isn't that awe factor, it seems, of that team?
Well, I hope so. Yeah, no. And to answer your first question, I have never played UConn, and I hope. I mean, they if they had that issue, they would have maybe shown that against Duke. That's a pretty big brand. Maryland, another big brand, and they haven't shown those kind of in awe feelings or behaviors. So hopefully that's not the case tomorrow. Can't answer that because we haven't played them. But I have a way of keeping our kids focused and grounded. So I think we're just going to be worried about ourselves and how we perform. And if it's good enough tomorrow, it's good enough. If it's not, it's not. But hopefully they're not just looking at that jersey on the opponent.
Yeah, Mel?
A lot of times in coach speak, as you go through conference tournaments, maybe the early rounds of the tournament, you get a win like you had yesterday, and the first thing you hear up here is, right now we're going to enjoy this one tonight, and then we'll get ready. It's UConn. How long did enjoy this tonight last?
Until I called my wife, and talked to her, and we had some fun words, and then after that, it was watching tape, and that's not always pleasant, when you're sitting there trying to figure out how the heck you can stop those guys. But for players, I always tell them enjoy it tonight because we don't show them or any film or talk to them until the next morning anyway. But as coaches, your work begins as soon as the work just ended. That's just the nature of the business. I got several months to rest and pat ourselves on the back and things like that once this tournament's over.
Down over here.
Kelly, as you were assembling this recruiting class, going to their AAU tournaments and such, did you have a sense, like each piece that you added, that this was becoming something really special?
I did, and our first year there was tough. We went 13-17, and the one thing that kept us going was. We were on the recruiting trail. It seemed endlessly. My family actually stayed in Spokane. My middle son was a senior at Gonzaga Prep in Spokane, so they actually stayed there the entire year, and I see that as a blessing because I didn't have any. There was no guilt. Like, honey, how come you're not home tonight? I was able to go on the road and spend a lot of time recruiting. Same with my staff, and. And we knew what we were, able to get on the recruiting trail. And with each yes, each commitment, it kind of re-energized us and kept us going through, what was a tough year. I hadn't had many losing seasons as a coach. And, and that's how we kind of base our happiness, unfortunately, is on the one-loss record. And but with each, success on the recruiting trail, it kind of gave us more momentum and confidence, and it really kind of got us through that year. But with each commitment, seriously, we were starting to go, wow, this is something special. This is something special, and we had a great recruiting year, and that was just the cherry on top was Sabrina. We waited a long time for that commitment, but she kind of solidified everything. She was that alpha that you need to kind of put it all together. And so it was quite a journey that first year.
Kelly, what was Oregon's pitch to you? Did they feel like women's basketball was a sport that it hadn't measured up to, say, more recently football or track and field in a long time? Did they think, all right, this is a sport that's emerging, we think you can take it to the next level, we've got a lot of resources we're willing to put into it, and then what made you finally decide, all right, I'm taking this job?
Well, Lisa Peterson, our associate athletic director back there, was a great salesperson. There's no doubt about it. And it was an easy sell, quite frankly. I loved Gonzaga. I absolutely loved it. My family and I would have been happy to stay there forever. But I think professionally, there's, every coach wants to be challenged a little bit, and I knew going to the Pac-12 would be a challenge, that I was ready for. We'd won 10 straight championships. And one of the things Lisa told me was, well, good luck winning your 11th, right? Like, is this what you really want? And so there were some coaching colleagues that I relied on and talked to, and they all encouraged me to take that next step. And, you know, and my wife is born and raised in Portland. All her family lives in Portland. We have a vacation home about an hour and a half from Eugene. That's our favorite spot on earth. It was 7 hours from Spokane, but an hour and a half from Eugene. So we were down in the area a lot. I have a lot of friends that live in the area. It was the only place I would have ever left for. You know, like I said, I love Gonzaga. And how great was yesterday for a Gonzaga/Duck fan to have two teams go to the Final Four. So, you know, it just and the pitch they made, and I'm trying to say the support that I knew we were going to get was, you know, sold me on it. So, like I said, I'm happy to be there. I'm happy to be a Duck, and privileged to be the coach there. That was a rambling answer. I really apologize.
You never told me what their pitch was.
Well, their pitch was to come home a little bit. We want to be we want to be a national championship program. I mean, they threw all that, and it matched, because that's what I want too. Not that you can't get there from Gonzaga, or you know, and the men are obviously showing that. However, it's different in the men's game than it is the women's game. The last so-called mid-major to go to the Final Four on the women's side was 2001 with Jackie Stiles. You know, one of the preeminent players in the history of our game. And that's a long time ago. So it's a lot more difficult on the women's side to get there. And professionally, I wanted that challenge to do it. And I think Oregon offered me that.
Kelly, you started talking about it a little bit, and it's a two-part question here, but I mean, how could you watch film yesterday when Gonzaga's men and the Oregon men were playing to a chance to go to the Final Four? I mean, that's your two schools. Like, how could you sit there and watch film when the history could be made right there? That's the first part. And then we talked the other day about Oregon basketball versus Oregon football and putting the basketball on the map a little bit more, but you guys have the big tournament next year, the film night thing for the men and the women, which really was going to be the showcase. Like, wow, Oregon basketball, there's all these teams coming here to play for Phil Knight. But now with the men in the Final Four and you guys a step away from the Final Four, that national picture is coming a little bit earlier than that, I would think.
Pretty cool. That was pretty cool. That to answer the first part of your question, business before pleasure, Doug. All right, business before pleasure. And you see these bags under the eyes. That's, you know, you can do both. You can watch and enjoy the games on TV, and then watch your next opponent too. You know, sleep's overrated, quite frankly. And then I have a great staff who, you know, they are on this thing big time. But yeah, I think you know, we've been known as a track and field school and a football school. I think it's really special. Yesterday, you know, to me, what's really, really cool is I go through a lot of our, you know, on Facebook, I get so many messages and texts and tweets and all that kind of stuff, like everybody does. But some of our past alums, who I never coached, have changed their Facebook profiles, pictures, to them in their Duck uniform. And they've reached out, some of our great players. And there is a history, a tradition at the University of Oregon of good basketball, winning basketball, championship basketball. And it's neat to see them kind of reconnect and be proud of their program and reach out. And I think that's, you know, I think that's something that Oregon's been waiting for. And you know, now we just hope to follow the lead of our men. They just keep one-upping us, crying out loud, you know. But good for Dana and good for his guys.
We have time for one or two more questions. So Mel first.
I heard they went after you because they needed a new Kelly to be dominant in the sport after the vacancy occurred. I first met you, remember, Gonzaga wasn't Gonzaga yet, but you took a trip across the country to play St. Joseph's in our town,
Yep.
like at 11 o'clock in the morning. I mean, you know, again, you hadn't even hit it yet with Gonzaga, and then you were going home, you know, in the middle of December, and it was weird. And I forget roughly, I think I remember what the motivation for that was.
To see you. No, we were really good. We were on the ascent. Is that, yeah, I guess I could say that. And somebody told me, a very wise person said, you know, you need to play in the East Coast so people can see how good you guys really are. And so we started doing that. And that trip was one of the first ones we took to the East Coast, and we tried to get back at least to the Midwest, sometimes to the South, and then the East Coast a lot, so people could see how good Gonzaga was, you know. And I remember that trip. We got them that morning. I think it was Kids Day too. Yeah, it was loud, and yeah, that was a fun trip, a really fun trip.
Anybody last question? All right.
All right,
Coach?
thank you all.
And that'll conclude the Oregon press conferences. The next press conference time will be at 1:10.